Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumu and it's great to be on the show again this week. We've got an exciting episode ahead of us today, but before then, check out this incredible woman on your screen, Mabel Shegun, the iconic literary giant. She's reputed to be the pioneer of children's literature in Nigeria. Incredible woman, and she's turning 95. On Channels Book Club, we are celebrating Mabel Shegun. And remember, apart from literature, she was a table tennis champion, but literature is what a lot of us know her for. She won the Nigeria Prize for Literature in 2007, and I just wish we can help our children to know about some of these incredible people who have shaped Nigeria in many ways. A lot of young people have grown up seeing politicians and sportsmen and musicians as the heroes of Nigeria, and take nothing away from all those people who have done great things for Nigeria. Nothing against music and entertainment and sports. Those things make societies, revolve. But we've got to talk about intellectual figures like Mabel Shegun, who have shaped our literature. She's done so much for this country, and we're celebrating her at 95. And talking about winning the Nigeria Prize for Literature, it's here again, the biggest prize in Africa. $100,000 at stake. Wow. Well, the Nigeria Prize for Literature 2025 is on. So all you writers out there who have been, writing and creating characters and plots and all that, time to get your book out and send it in for the big prize. 2025 is a year of prose. Remember, the Nigeria Prize for Literature rotates every 4 years. Children's literature to poetry to drama and then to prose. So it's prose this year. So go on our social media platforms. You will get more details on the Nigeria Prize for Literature 2025. So wishing you all the best. Those of you who want to win it this year, all the very best. Now let's dive into this week. We've got this book on your screen, Persona Non Grata by Ismail Omipidan. Wow, I read this book and I was just, it's explosive. And I told him, as you will hear, that some people might be coming out after him. But what a book it is. If you are in journalism, if you are in the media, if you are interested in contemporary Nigerian history, then you want to read this fascinating, intriguing book by Ismail. Well, he joins us on Channels Book Club this week. Let's get to meet with him and then enjoy the conversation we had.
Ismail Omipidan is a journalist, deputy editor, and head of the politics desk at the Sun newspapers. An associate member of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Omipidan is one of the panelists on the current affairs program Journalists Hangout on Television Continental. Omipidan served as the chief press secretary to the former Osun State Governor Adegboyega Oyetola, special assistant on media and publicity to the former deputy president of the Senate, Senator Ike Ekweremadu, and as consultant to the Senate Committee on Constitution Review, among others. Ismail Omipidan joins Channels Book Club to discuss his debut book, Persona Non Grata.
Ismail, nice to have you on Channels Book Club.
The pleasure is mine.
It's great to have you here.
Good afternoon.
Well, you are a man who has done a lot in journalism over the years. Many years under your belt of just digging in, getting the job done, getting the stories out, interviewing and being interviewed.
Yes.
So I'm sure it's a very natural terrain for you. It's great to have you on set.
The pleasure is mine.
Yeah. And you finally put everything, well, not everything, as much as you could in this book. But I would like you to give a background to this book and introduce it to viewers. What inspired it and what will they find in here?
Thank you very much. First, I must give glory to God because the first time I contemplated the idea of putting my story together was about 10 years ago. And I recall then in one of my discussions with the current vice president of the country, he told me that, from what he has seen so far, he believed that I still have places to go. That why don't I tarry a while and probably get to somewhere in journalism? Because then I was just a bureau chief, so, and I listened to him and I continued, with my job. When our father in journalism profession, Chief Segun Oshoba, when he launched his book, The Battle Lines. And when I read it, I saw some of the unpleasant stories. I came across boardroom politics, and some of the stories he told in that book were things that had happened around me. And I said to myself, I think I have a story to tell. And as God will have it, the then governor of Borno State, Ali Modu Sharif, actually declared me persona non grata. And when I was about rounding up the manuscript, I got talking with one of my former bosses, former NUJ president, Malam Sani Zoro. Because the initial title of the book was very long. I think the initial title of the book was My Struggle for a Place in the Annals of Journalism Practice. And he told me that no, that title is too long, that I should go and read about how to title a book, that the title at most should not be more than 3 words. So in the course of researching on how to title a book, and I realized I have an already made title. I had already made title because even though I was formally declared a persona non grata, there were places I have worked, places I have lived where I was never wanted. So for me, I saw the title running through. Most of the most of the stories and many of my experiences. And that was why I decided to go with the persona non grata. And in the book, readers will find, for instance, I didn't bother hide anything. I recall one of my friends were telling me that, why did I put down that I wrote WAEC 3 times? I said, look, it's to encourage people. When my son came back from the school last year, he got, I think, 4 A's, and I congratulated him. I said, you have surpassed my record, and that is my prayer. I said, I wrote this WAEC 3 times before I made it, and here you are, writing it once and making it. I felt proud as a father, so it's a story that I believe will inspire young journalists. It's a story I believe that even managers, will be circumspect in the way they relate, with their subordinates. Because I believe very strongly that most of those who treated me badly then, if they knew a day like this would come, they probably would have treated me better.
Differently. Yeah. There are so many stories, so many anecdotes in this book. Some of them are very explosive. I would like you to provide a few teasers to viewers out there who are keen on knowing what they will find in this book, particularly what you consider the most outstanding stories that you really like people to get to know about.
Well, the first thing first, in the course of my practice, most Nigerians believe that an average journalist is a corrupt Nigeria, and they also believe that we don't do stories unless were paid to do that. Thankfully, His Excellency the Vice President by himself recalled how we met. It was a story, and in his own estimation, according to him, he felt that ordinarily it's a story that if he's asked to pay handsomely to keep it to keep it away, from the public, he would gladly do. But he spoke to me. I didn't ask for a dime. He didn't offer a dime. In fact, he said he was warned not to make any offer to me, as that might, get me, upset and want to even do the story. But if he speaks to my conscience, that I will listen. And that was exactly what happened. And as at the time this happened, my salary was just 28,700. Imagine if I had demanded for maybe 500,000 naira, then I'm sure he would gladly offer it, But I never believed in that. Again, my dilemma with the ethics of the profession. I struggled to gain admission to study mass comm in Cardinal Polytechnic. I was offered admission at a point when all hope was lost. And the man who offered me the admission, some persons wrote a petition against him when I started work at, Weekly Trust, And the editor now gave me the petition to treat. When I looked at the petition, I didn't even look at the merit or otherwise of the petition. I walked up to my editor. I told him, "Sir, I'm sorry, I can't do this story." He said, "Why?" I said, "This man was the man who offered me admission, even though he didn't know I'm here. But the certificate I'm using to work, if this man had not offered me that admission, I probably wouldn't have been here today. And so I will not." I can't remember if they eventually used this or not. But the point I'm trying to make is, I never got in touch with the man. This happened in 1999. I never got in touch with him until 2022. He was on assignment in Osun State. I approached him and I introduced myself to him. And I recalled this. He remembered the incident, but so I didn't do it for any ulterior motive. It's a different thing if I had done what I did then to curry favor, maybe financially or otherwise. But no, but I just did it out of. I felt that look, he gave me admission when all hope was lost. In fact, my name was written with a pencil to tell you. To tell you. So I felt, if this man can do this to me, and I believe, because Nigerians, although former President Obasanjo said that there is no frivolous petition, but I believe that sometimes Nigerians, just out of malice, can just wake up to write all manner of things. And not because I know the man very well that he may not have done what he was accused of, but I just felt that look, this man has done good to me. I felt that was my own turn to do same to him.
Okay. Let me.
Then the another interesting thing they'll find there is this issue of electoral reform. Thankfully we are talking about constitutional review. We are talking about electoral reform. For me, I believe that the judiciary contributed in nailing the coffin of beavers. When beavers was introduced, Nigerians applauded the move, and everybody concluded that it was a game changer. But the decisions from the courts, made nonsense of the beavers. How do I mean? The beavers is very clear. The beavers will only take record of those who came out to vote on the day of election. Meaning that at a go, you can be able to determine if manipulation has taken place with regards to overvoting or what have you. But the court is saying that in spite of the beavers, you still need the voter register to prove overvoting. Voter register will contain names of those who may have come out to vote, those who did not come out to vote, those who are dead. And you are now insisting that to prove overvoting, you need a voter register. So the moment that pronouncement was made from the court, I knew that it would be very difficult for overvoting to be proved in subsequent electoral cases. And that was what happened. The next thing what politicians did was to go back to the old order of taking everybody on the voter register and claim that everybody came out to vote. And that is why in a polling unit, when you have maybe 5,000, they will tell you all the 5,000 came out to vote, and you and I know it's not possible.
It's not possible. Let's jump from one thing to another and then see if we can help viewers to know the kind of things they will find in here. On page 155, you wrote about power dynamics and Osun 2022 governorship election. And that's a very explosive part because basically you didn't hold back in saying that that election had too many question marks. In fact, we were shocked that Oyetola lost the election.
Yeah.
Given, according to you, what you wrote here, given everything that the governor did during his tenure, in terms of roads built, projects executed, etc., etc., etc. And you did explain also in that chapter that given his type of personality, somebody not willing to get in the mud, with people, then it was easy for whatever was done to have been done for him to lose that election, right?
Yeah. I believe very strongly that if His Excellency Adigboge Oyetola were to be a typical Nigerian politician, he has no reason to lose that election. And how do I mean? You see, he came in 2018 at a time when it was difficult to pay salaries in the state, at a time when some political analysts were even suggesting satirically that Osun should be annexed to other buoyant states for its survival.
To survive.
Now this man came in, he was able to stabilize the state, he revived the economy, and for the 4 years he spent, he never took any bank facility. He was paying debts that he inherited, he didn't borrow, and he was still able to do a few things. And I recall when we were preparing for that election, some members of the party who felt that they understood what the opposition was planning, suggested that they should also do a few things. And the man said no, that he believed he has done well for the people, that the people will reward him and they should go allow people to go and vote. And indeed, but for the things that happened, in spite of the manipulations, Oyetola would have still won that election by maybe a margin of 5,000 or thereabout. But what did the opposition do? Ask anybody about Ede South and Ede North. The voting population of those two local governments are not up to the voting population in Osogbo. By 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. on the day of election, they had finished voting in Osogbo. But in Ede,
11 p.m.
they voted up to 11 p.m. Surprisingly, the security operatives were the ones who used the headlamp of their vehicles to provide, light for those who were doing whatever it is they were doing.
Voting went on in Ede till 11 p.m.
Till 11 p.m.
Wow.
It's not a riverine area.
For a young person who is getting into a media establishment, you read this and you begin to become aware that a media establishment is like any other establishment with human beings.
Yeah.
With ambition, ego, their schemings, their, all sorts of things are there, as you will find in any other establishment. And they need to be skillful in handling human relationships, in handling your subordinates, your bosses, and that's what I got from here.
Yeah, and that's exactly the lesson I set out. Yeah,
for writing this.
Yeah, I set out.
And of course, there were interesting characters also in the chapter. The son was an interesting place. Mr. Femi Adesina, who later went to Villa, you know, and all the characters you mentioned here was quite interesting reading through. And while you were at the Sun, there were other adventures you had. Your attempt at becoming NUJ
chairman in Kaduna. It didn't work out. And on the day I lost the election, I was appointed a special assistant on media and publicity to the then deputy senate president.
What an adventure. Yeah, interesting. Very interesting. I mean, we can go on and on, some of this. And, I mean, the pictures tell a lot of the stories in this book. And talking about the picture, the first one there, that's your father.
Yeah, my father.
You wrote about how it was an inspiration for you.
Yeah.
How, while he himself was not educated, he ensured that all of us, eight of you, were all educated.
Yeah.
In your book, and look at Mr. Adesina there looking.
Yeah, he was one of the senior journalists that attended my wedding in 2008 in Ibadan.
Incredible.
He was the one who employed me actually at the Sun.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in 2003.
And of course, I mean, on a final note, what a journey it has been for you. I mean, as a journalist and all that, and you eventually, you know, put all this in a book. Writing this, compared to everything you've done in journalism over the years, how does it match up? Is this the toughest job you ever did?
It is because it took me 2 years, you know, to complete the manuscript, because I kept, you know, because especially with regards to my experience with Boko Haram, there were so many things that I left out, and I believe that in the fullness of time,
for security reasons.
Yeah, for security, some of those things will come. But I make bold to say that the first Boko Haram the conviction that was secured in Nigeria, was made possible by my testimony. Without my testimony in an open court, there was no way the federal government would have successfully prosecuted that case. And I thank God that, because the day I was making myself available, I thought immediately after testifying in court, I will not be alive to tell the story. I thank God that several years after, here I am telling the story of what transpired.
Incredible. Well, we await that second book, Ismail. We await it.
By the grace of God.
There's so many. I think there are a lot of books you can write from your stories. A lot of the stories in here can be standalone stories. So you might want to give that a thought. A lot of the stories here can stand alone as entire books.
For instance, I would like to write about my principal, because he's one man that has been grossly misunderstood. And like I said in the book, he also missed the opportunity of allowing the people of Osun to appreciate him better by not disclosing the enormity of the rot he inherited from former Governor Benny Rauf Aregbesola. I believe very strongly that if he had let the people of Osun know exactly what he inherited, they probably would have appreciated him better than he's been, appreciated today.
Interesting. We've got a lot locked in there. You should get out. Thank you very much for joining us on Channels Book Club. It's been a pleasure hosting you.
The pleasure is mine. God bless you.
So much packed in there. Get your copy of Persona Non Grata. There's a lot we didn't talk about. You will find them within the pages of the book. I know books have a way of, hiding a lot. There's so much about Nigerian history, for example, that you just will never hear out there, but it's locked in somewhere within the pages of a book. So let's get these books. Let's get our history written, revised, shared, or whatever. Let's get the history out there. So Ismail did a great job with this book, and you will enjoy reading it, and I wish you Send us your feedback, send us your thoughts, your comments, questions as you read on any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. This is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be very delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms. My name is Olakunle Kasumu. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.